Good morning, viewers. You're now watching Hornbill TV's Morning Pulse. Accompanied by the families of the victims affected by water contamination in Bhagirathpura, leader of opposition in the Lok Sabha and Congress MP Rahul Gandhi stated that he was not stopped from meeting the families. Emphasizing that his visit was not political, he said that as an opposition leader, it is his duty and responsibility to raise issues of public concerns.
नहीं, रोका नहीं गया, मैं आया हूँ।
सर, सरकार बोल रही है कि कांग्रेस राजनीति कर रही है।
राजनीति करने
देखिए, राजनीति नहीं है। यहाँ पे मैं विपक्ष का नेता हूँ। यहाँ पे लोगों की मृत्यु हुई है। यहाँ पे लोगों को साफ पानी नहीं मिल रहा है। मैं इनका मुद्दा उठाने आया हूँ, उनकी मदद करने आया हूँ। इसमें कोई गलत काम नहीं है। मेरा काम है। एक सेकंड बोलने दीजिए मुझे। एक सेकंड मुझे बोलने दीजिए। आप सवाल पूछ रहे हैं, मुझे बोलने दीजिए। तो मेरी जिम्मेदारी बनती है कि हमारे देश में लोगों को साफ पानी नहीं मिल रहा है और मैं इनकी मदद करने यहाँ आया हूँ, इनके साथ खड़े होने आया हूँ। आप इसको जो भी कहना चाहते हैं कह लीजिए, राजनीति कहना चाहते हैं, जो भी कहना चाहते हैं कह लीजिए, मुझे फर्क नहीं पड़ता है। मैं इनके साथ यहाँ खड़ा हूँ और इनको आप साफ पानी दिलवाइए। धन्यवाद।
Kerala Minister P. Rajiv said that during the previous World Economic Forum, the state successfully showcased its investment potential. He noted that Kerala ranked first in the ease of doing business for the first time and held more than 72 meetings with the top investors. He added that these efforts contributed significantly to the successful organization of the Invest Kerala Global Summit in Kochi. The minister said that Kerala's participation in the current WEF is aimed at further strengthening investor engagement with a focus on signing more expressions of interest with potential investors.
Actually, last time we are participated in World Economic Forum after a long time. But that was the first full delegation led by the minister and consists of the chief secretary and finance secretary. The last WEF we had tried to showcase the potential of the state of Kerala. Kerala had been ranked the number one in ease of doing business first time. We could organize more than 72 meetings with top investors. It is helpful for the state of Kerala to successfully organize the Invest Kerala Global Summit in Kochi. And we could convert more than 106 EOEs to construction stage. This time we are participating in WEF with an intention to sign more EOEs, expression of interest with potential investors. I hope this is a good time. This time also Kerala is the number one in ease of doing business. Myself and Chief Secretary, Principal Secretary Industries and MD KSIDC are participating WEF at Davos.
And one more question is that there is a transformation of reforms introduced to the state's industrial sector. So will you present the model in WEF?
Yes, last time also we had presented our steps taken, our initiatives taken to attract more investment and generate more employment opportunities. Thereafter, we have passed several new acts. Now, big investment can start in the country, in the state within 7 days after submitting the application along with all relevant documents. And we have dedicated one officer as a nodal officer for each and every EOE. That is the main reason for the successful implementation of the EOE which was signed in the time of Invest Kerala Global Summit.
Which you mentioned that previously Kerala has participated in the WEF. So what are the impacts that the state can have in this World Summit?
Actually, the last year participation was a full participation as a state level and full team along with the Chief Secretary, Finance Secretary, Industry Secretary. All of us are participated in that meeting. Thereafter, we have organized the IKGS. We had extended invitation to several investors to IKGS at the venue of the WEF at Davos. Some of them were participated in the IKGS, and some of the companies has already laid the stone of the new factories. That's a great momentum. This WEF is a good meeting point or pitching point to attract more investments.
Commenting on the alleged remarks made by leader of opposition Atishi on a Sikh guru, Delhi BJP President Virendra Sachdeva said that the Delhi Assembly Speaker has released a forensic examination report of the video containing the objectionable remarks dated on January 16th.
आज दिल्ली विधानसभा अध्यक्ष ने 6 जनवरी को जो अभद्र टिप्पणी का वीडियो फॉरेंसिक जांच के लिए भेजा गया था, उसकी रिपोर्ट सामने की है। और इस रिपोर्ट में साफ साफ ये बताया गया है कि आतिशी मारलेना ने गुनाह किया है। और मुझे हैरानी इस बात की है कि पंजाब की सरकार ने इस पूरे मामले को किस तरह से कोर्ट के माध्यम से गुमराह करने की कोशिश की है या उस पाप को छुपाने की कोशिश की है। 6 तारीख को आतिशी मारलेना 6 जनवरी को विधानसभा सदन के भीतर अभद्र टिप्पणी करती हैं। 7 तारीख को वो वीडियो सोशल मीडिया पर आता है। 7 तारीख को एफआईआर और 8 तारीख को फोरेंसिक जांच आ जाती है। पूरी की पूरी पंजाब सरकार उस वीडियो को, जो कि मूल वीडियो नहीं है, उसको भी डॉक्टर करके कोर्ट को गुमराह करती है। और आज विधानसभा अध्यक्ष ने स्पष्ट किया है, उन्होंने वो वर्बिटम भी दिखाया है कि जिसमें आतिशी मारलेना ने जो शब्द कहे हैं वो उसमें रिकॉर्डेड हैं। और मेरा तो मानना यह है कि खुद गोपाल राय ने भी इस बात को माना था कि हाँ, आतिशी ने बोला था कुत्तों का सम्मान करो। जब पूरा सदन गुरु साहिबान के सम्मान में अपने श्रद्धा सुमन अर्पित कर रहा था, उनके बलिदान की गाथा को बता रहा था, उस समय आतिशी मारलेना द्वारा इन शब्दों का इस्तेमाल किस परिप्रेक्ष्य में किया, इसका जवाब तो आतिशी को देना है। लेकिन वो तो लापता है। अब छुपा दी गई हैं या भगा दी गई हैं, ये तो अरविंद केजरीवाल जाने। लेकिन आज जो रिपोर्ट विधानसभा अध्यक्ष ने सार्वजनिक की है, उस पर हमारी ये डिमांड है कि आतिशी मारलेना के खिलाफ कानूनी कार्रवाई करें और पंजाब की सरकार जिसने डॉक्टर्ड वीडियो कोर्ट में पेश किया है, उस वीडियो की भी सीबीआई की जांच जो विधानसभा अध्यक्ष ने की है वो होनी चाहिए और आतिशी मारलेना की सदस्यता निलंबित करनी चाहिए।
On the situation in Iran, Congress MP Shashi Tharoor has said that there are some positive developments indicating a possible easing of tension. He noted that Iranian authorities have reportedly cancelled the execution of more than 800 people that were earlier announced. Tharoor also pointed out that former US President Donald Trump has said he is holding off on any strikes for the time being.
No, the evacuation is happening, but at the same time, tension, as far as I know, is not increasing. I know that we don't have access to latest information because the internet has been cut by the authorities. But two good signs we've heard are that the authorities have cancelled the executions of over 800 people that they had announced previously. That's a very good sign. And Mr. Trump has also said that he is holding off on any strikes for the moment. I think in some ways it's a hopeful sign that we will see a dialing down of tensions. Because I would not be surprised if all the countries in the neighborhood, the Gulf countries particularly, some of the ones that could be at the receiving end of any disorder in Iran, refugees cross over the Gulf into the Gulf countries and into other neighboring countries in the region. I think they would all want some calm and order. They would not want strikes. They would not want attacks. And there's also probably some anxiety about the geopolitical implications of allowing the situation to spiral out of control. So my gut feeling at the moment is we may have turned a corner. We'll have to see. And as I said, we are not recipients of 100% accurate information, but there are reports that the street protests are dying down and that the executions have been stopped and that in turn the White House is also calming down in the same language of threats and so on that we have heard of possible strikes. That is not being heard. So unless you are privy to new developments, I would not say that tensions are increasing. I would say that tensions are decreasing, and that is good for the people of Iran and for all of us.
Trump says in a year that they will break pace with peace treaty and ended war in Gaza.
Well, look, the Gaza peace has now entered a so-called second phase, but unfortunately there are still continuing attacks. People are still dying in Gaza every day. There are headlines coming out of that. So it's not a peace for everyone yet. Secondly, we still don't have any accurate word about the progress in coming to the so-called disarmament of Hamas. Hamas has so far said they will not disarm, but they will hand over authority to a technocratic council. I think all I can say is we'll have to watch and wait. It's an extremely tense situation. It is by no means a normal, tranquil, peacetime situation yet. But let's hope we get there, because the people of Gaza have suffered enough.
Amid rising political tension in Telangana following the formation of the Congress government led by Chief Minister Revnath Reddy, the Bharat Rashtra Samiti (BRS) is now opposition after losing power in the 2023 Assembly elections and has been alleging that the new government is functioning in an authoritarian manner and failing to protest Telangana's interests. As part of its opposition strategy, the BRS announced plans for a statewide peaceful rally to protest against what it calls anti-people policies and governance failures of Revnath Reddy administration. However, the denial of permission from the authorities for the rally triggered sharp reaction from BRS leaders who argue that the move curtails democratic rights and suppresses dissent, prompting them to claim the public sentiment will ultimately respond to the government's action.
This is not fair. ఇది డెమోక్రసీ కాదు, ఇది నియంత రాజ్యం నడుస్తా ఉంది. ఇది అంబేద్కర్ రాజ్యాంగం లేదు, నియంత రాజ్యాంగం నడుస్తా ఉంది ఇక్కడ. అన్న రామన్న ఒక డిమాండ్ కోసం అని చెప్పని, సికింద్రాబాద్ కోసం అని చెప్పని పోనీ అని అంటే ఎట్లా? సికింద్రాబాద్ ఆయన కూర్చున్నాడు ధర్నా చౌక్ లో. మరి రేవంత్ రెడ్డి ధర్నా చౌక్ లో కూర్చున్నాడా? అదే డెమోక్రాటిక్ రైట్ కోసం పోతే కూడా మీరు ఇట్లా పర్మిషన్ ఇవ్వమంటే
how this Revanth Reddy's government's dictatorial thinking. We are very peacefully. Mr. Srinivas Yadav, former minister, has given a call to organize a peace rally to protect Secunderabad. Secunderabad has its own long history since past 2 centuries. It is the icon place of Telangana. Revanth Reddy has a cruel and brutal governance. He is trying to degrade the image of Secunderabad and Hyderabad. So in order to enhance the importance and in order to glorify the glory of Secunderabad, this call is given by Srinivas Yadav, and we will see how.
The protest in Murshidabad's Beldang Block Road area erupted following reports of alleged killing of migrant workers from West Bengal in Bihar. The incident triggered anger and concern among local residents. Fearing for the safety of migrants and demanding justice for the victims, locals staged a demonstration which led authorities to deploy security forces to maintain law and order and prevent any escalation of tension.
দেখতে পাচ্ছেন মিডিয়া দেখতে পাচ্ছেন ভিজুয়ালে
Ghatal BJP MLA Seetal Kopat alleged that the Trinamool Congress government is spreading fear under the pretext of special intensive revision of electoral rules. He accused the ruling party of attempting to retain Rohingyas, Bangladeshis and Pakistanis in voter lists to protect its vote bank. Kopat further alleged that Trinamool Congress leaders including Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee and Abhishek Banerjee have created an atmosphere of terror in Murshidabad, claiming that such incidents have occurred repeatedly in the past.
हर 10 साल के बाद होता है। इस बार लगभग 23 साल के बाद हो रही है। जो यूपीए में सरकार थी वो थोड़ा डिले कर दिया था। तो एसआईआर में जो होना है वो तो काम होगा लीगल प्रोसेस में। तो यहाँ का जो सरकार तृणमूल सरकार वो एसआईआर नाम के लेकर आतंक फैला रही है, क्योंकि यहाँ का जो वोट बैंक रोहिंग्या बांग्लादेशी है, पाकिस्तानी है, भुआ वोटर है, मृत वोटर है, उस वोटर को वोटर लिस्ट में रखना चाहती है और एसआईआर में ये सब कुछ वोटर लिस्ट से आउट होने वाला है। तो इसलिए उसको डर गया है। डर के वजह से उसका जो गुंडा है उस गुंडा को लेके हर विधानसभा में आतंक फैल रहा है। मुर्शिदाबाद में ज़्यादा हो रही है। पहले से मुर्शिदाबाद में और जो जोंगी थे आतंकवाद थे वो हिंदू देख देख के खून कर रहा था। एक तो आतंक थे और ज़्यादा भी आतंक फैला दिया है तृणमूल कांग्रेस, ममता बनर्जी और अभिषेक बनर्जी। इसलिए हम लोग दावे के साथ कह सकते हैं जब तक ये ममता बनर्जी और अभिषेक बनर्जी रहेगा, ये पश्चिम बांग्ला में दंगा ही रहेगा। तो मैं देश की स्वराष्ट्र मंत्री अमित शाह जी को ये कहना चाहता हूँ, मोदी जी को ये कहना चाहता हूँ कि पश्चिम बांग्ला में राष्ट्रपति का शासन ले आना चाहिए, नहीं तो हर आदमी ऐसे तरह का मार खाएगा, खून हो जाएगा, पश्चिम बांग्ला ध्वंस हो जाएगा। ये तो पहले नहीं, पहले बार हुआ ऐसा नहीं। पहले बहुत सारे सांबादिक ऐसा ही हुआ था। यहाँ का जो कानून है, यहाँ का जो सरकार है, देख देख के सांबादिक बंधु पर अटैक करता है, उसको काम नहीं करने देते हैं, क्योंकि सच सामने आ जाएगा, सच दिखाने वाला है, इसलिए वो डर रही है। इसलिए जितने दिन जा रही है उतने दिन धीरे धीरे बढ़ रही है। सांबादिक आतंकवाद के हाथ में आतंकित होती है, मार खाती है। एक दिन ऐसा ना हो जाए कि खून हो जाए। तो इसलिए मैं पहले भी कह चुका हूँ और अब भी मैं बोल रहा हूँ, पश्चिम बांग्ला में राष्ट्रपति शासन चाहिए, तभी जाके ये ठंडा होगा, नहीं तो चलता ही रहेगा।
The intra-party rift in the Nepali Congress has split onto the streets after the Election Commission decided to recognize newly elected party resident Gagan Thapa as the legitimate party leader. Thapa was elected as the party president at the special convention that concluded earlier this week. Despite protests from former Prime Minister and immediate past party President Sher Bahadur Deuba, the dispute reached the electoral body of the Himalayan nation, which late on Friday evening decided to update its records to reflect Gagan Thapa as the new party president. As per Acting Chief Election Commission Ram Prasad Bhandari, the Commission relied on 3 key grounds to decide on updating the party's details. According to the election official, the Commission considered the Nepali Congress statute that allows 40% of General Convention delegates to demand a special General Convention. The Commission found that such a convention has been held as mandated.
सरकार चलेको छैन, संसद चलेको छैन, तिमीहरू चलेका छैनौ, नेताहरू ठुलो चलेको छैनन् भन्ने कुरालाई मान्न तयार भइरहेका छैनौँ। भदौ 22 गतेको नेपाल र भदौ 25 गतेको नेपाल एउटै होइन। त्यसकारणले गर्दा अधिवेशन माग गर्नेहरूले के भने भदौ 23-24 गते पछाडि ठुलो परिवर्तन भयो। यो परिवर्तन किन भयो, कसरी भयो, हाम्रो भूमिका के रह्यो, कहाँ सही कहाँ गलत, यो सबैको विश्लेषण गरौँ। नीति पनि फेरौँ, नेता पनि फेरौँ, नेतृत्व पनि फेरौँ, नीति पनि फेरौँ। त्यसका निम्ति अधिवेशन गरौँ। छिटो छिटो गर्न सकिन्छ भने मङ्सिरभित्रमा नियमित गरौँ। त्यो हाम्रो जिम्मा थियो। नियमित अधिवेशन त फेरि कसैले मागेर त पाइँदैन। तर तपाईँहरू छिटो छिटो मङ्सिरमा गर्न सक्नुहुन्न भने त्यसो भएदेखि पुरानो महाधिवेशन प्रतिनिधिबाट महाधिवेशन गरौँ, नेता फेरौँ, नीति फेरौँ, राष्ट्रिय सङ्कल्प गरौँ, यही भनेको त हो। त्यस कारणले गर्दा त्यसको लागि विशेष महाधिवेशन गरौँ भनेर मागेको हो नि त। यो पनि मिलेन। संवेदनशील अवस्थामा विशेष महाधिवेशन गर्नु, संवेदनशील भएकोले विशेष महाधिवेशन मागेको, तेस्रो कुरा पनि मिलेन। यो कार्यले आजको विषम परिस्थितिमा पार्टीलाई विभाजनतर्फ लैजान सक्छ। विधानको कार्यान्वयन गर्दाखेरि पार्टीलाई विभाजनतर्फ लैजान्छ भन्ने कुराको हवा किन पिटिराखिएको छ? यो पार्टीको विभाजन कसले चाहेको? किन लगातार पार्टीको महाधिवेशन प्रतिनिधिहरू जो विशेष महाधिवेशनमा सहभागी हुन आउँदै हुनुहुन्छ वो पार्टीको महाधिवेशन प्रतिनिधि हो, विधानको आफ्नो हक प्रयोग गरेर महाधिवेशन मागिराख्नु भएको छ। उनलाई के भनिएको छ भने विधानको यो धारा प्रयोग गरियो भने विभाजनतर्फ हुन्छ। विधानको यो धाराको प्रयोग गरिएन वा कार्यान्वयन गरिएन, यत्रो देशभरिका साथीहरूले भनेको कुरालाई एकपटक सुन्ने प्रयास गरियो। उनले जे भने त्यो हुनुपर्छ भन्ने छैन, उहाँले जे भन्नुभयो त्यो हुन्छ भन्ने पनि छैन, नहुन सक्ला नि। तर एकपटक सुन्ने प्रयास पनि भएन, एकपटक संवाद गर्ने प्रयास पनि गरेन भने पो बरु पार्टी।
That's all for now. Thank you for watching Hornbill TV.